All right, happy Tuesday, everybody. It is April 16th, 2024, here at precisealgorithmtrading.com. And I'm going to do a fast video tonight. Just a few things to cover. So, let's see. Dive in here at our automated trading, and you can see we're starting to get something happening, I think, on the Dow futures, which is all in today. Still down a little bit for today, but it's starting to pick up, it looks like to me. The Russell today didn't trade. There's no trades. That's the last one from yesterday. The NASDAQ has pulled back and a little bit back up there. So we had one nice trade today, and the rest were givebacks. So the volatility today in the overall markets, we'll go over here, is, well, let's look at the VIX. Well, actually, I'm going to put that away for a minute, and we're going to just go through the markets real quick. The S&P went down 10 points today, or 0.21%. The Dow Jones Industrials has pulled back quite a bit here lately, and there's a little error that pops up here. It happens to be a Keltner reversal, is what that's called. It got below the Keltner channels, and now it's popped back above. So that was below yesterday and popped back above today, and that's not really a like a it's a signal. It is a tradable signal, but it's a tradable signal that you don't want to set like the stop on yesterday's bar. You got to give it a little bit of room because we might get a hammer type situation tomorrow where price goes back down and comes back up, and just to shake anybody out that would take a signal like this. But what it does show me is that we're getting close to possible capitulation or short-term reversal type parameters. The Russell went down 8 points today, or 0.42%. There's not really any very much in the short run that makes this all look really very positive. It's all a big give back, other than you can look down here at the stochastic, and we have come down into the lower reversal zone quite a bit. So, and a bounce is just, with all that negativity that's been built up here over the last week or two, a bounce is imminent. And now you can see here, let's zoom in on the NASDAQ, that we're down here at the 2 ATR level. We've come down this whole way. And again, even though this is like crossed down and this has been crossed down, this is the kind of a thing where we could get a bounce back up. Everybody gets excited, wants to go long again in the markets, and then they roll it back over for maybe the weekend. Could see that possibly coming up. Or it goes way far back. Everybody gets excited, and then they pull the rug out from underneath everybody. But don't take these dots up here for granted. They've flipped, and they haven't flipped for months. So now they've flipped for sure. I'm expecting the price to come back up into the middle zone here somewhere, back to the mean, and then roll over. That's the NASDAQ. That goes for, really, if you look at the Russell, same way. If you look at the S&P, same way. And if you look at the Dow, same thing. All right. Now, I know I was just not very long ago calling for 40,000 on the Dow. The high was 39,889. There's nothing saying that can't still happen by the end of the year. nothing saying it will either, other than it's on the radar of traders at this point and market makers and everybody else. All right. Anyways, let's go back to the VIX. And this is another point. The S&P is on the right-hand side here. This could be any of the index products. You can see we are buried now in the stochastics lower reversal zone, and we got this pink arrow up here, which means that this thing came out of the Bollinger Bands and then pulled back in hard. You can see after it pulled back in, back here we got like 1 or 2 days. Back here we got a week and a half or so before we rally back up on the VIX, which is a pullback on the markets. And way back here we went far out of the bands, came back in. And we still got some volatility. We never closed back outside of the bands, and then we came in hard. So I'm calling for a reversal in the next couple days in the markets, and or at least I won't call it a reversal, but a bounce. So a lot of evidence here to say that's in the possible works. You can also see all the markets here in the overnight look like they're up a little. There's nothing really to do with that. And let's look at, so here we are at the this is the TLT, which is bonds. This is an example of a place where it came outside of the Bollinger Bands, or the Keltner channels. We got to bounce up with that light blue arrow, and then we still got hammered back under. So that can happen. So there's no guarantees here, just like always. And what's oil looking like? So oil's still hanging out in this zone up here. Looks like it wants to go higher. Not really a big surprise with what's going on in the world. Wait a minute. That is a new magenta dot. So a short-term weakness probably, at least for this one too. Excuse me. And that's the oil futures contract, so it's been going that way for a couple days. Gold still looks like it wants to be hanging out in that zone. And SPXU. So this SPXU is a great instrument to be able to short the market. This is not the place to do it from, because it's come up so far, which has been, when the market's been bearish, this thing goes bullish. And then, so I'm looking for a pullback. And then I'll set my stops based on these dots down here. And we'll ride it for the next leg. And if it gets stopped out, that's actually pretty bullish for the markets. But I just expect some temporary, some time here that it's going to be negative for a bit. So let's look at here just for fun. This is April, and 90% of the last 10 years, 90% of the time, the market went up an average of 1.82% in April. Well, it's not looking that way now. And 70% of the time, May went up 0.84%. 70% of the time, June went up 0.98%. So we're seeing weakness into a period of time when the overall market has a little bit of a gain. So that's not to say we couldn't possibly come back up because of some of those types of scenarios. The markets have, there's a reason that's a historic thing. There's timing in the markets as far as like seasonality, and there's a whole lot of art and science that goes with that too. I don't do a ton of it, but I do want to keep an eye on it. Okay, Let's look at Bitcoin real quick. BitO, it's in this pullback zone. Looks like it's actually due for a bounce as well. The next time it bounces, I'm going to be keeping my eye on all these parameters. This possibly could be a nice one to bounce eventually and go back higher again. But I'm going to need all of our parameters to line up for a bullish trade, including the weekly to get taken back out again and become bullish. So this right now, the weekly dots up here are bearish as well as the daily. Alright, last but not least, the bullish percent indexes. The industrials didn't move. The NYA tacked on a new O, went to the downside. Officially a point and figure sell signal now. Transports didn't move. The NASDAQ, a new O to the downside, minus 3.22%. The S&P 500, two new O's, down 6.12%. This is all pretty normal for anybody that's like not used to. I mean, I know the markets have been going up for 3 months or 4 months or whatever it's been. When the markets unwind, they unwind, and minus 7.5%, new O on the NDX, and then the OEX, a new O and minus 3.45%. So, yeah, it's a time to be more cautious and not be going too long until things start to turn around. And you can start to see that, and my place to see that really to start showing up is in the OEX and the NDX. When they start to reverse and you get a new column of X's, you'll see it show up in the markets. So until next time, have a great night. Take care, guys.